Happy New Year. It's Jeff Thibodeau here, your Brantford real estate expert. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a brand new way to look at the real estate data to give you some clear insights. You know me, I've been tracking the real estate market my entire career and I make these videos regularly. So many of you reach out to tell me this information is useful, especially as you're planning your next real estate move. So I'm continuously trying to make these videos better and better and more useful for you. So I've got a brand new format here today that I'm going to add into the mix every month where we analyze the different segments of the Brantford real estate market to tell you which ones are hot and which ones are cold. And I hope this video is extremely useful to you in terms of making real estate decisions and planning your strategy. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they try to paint the entire real estate market with a single brush. And the reality is there's all kinds of little sub markets going on with different conditions at different times. And that's what we're going to get into this video. So stick with me. It should be a good one. My name is Jeff Thibodeau, by the way. I'm a real estate broker here in Brantford with over 16 years experience helping people just like you make smart real estate decisions. And I do that based on research and good strategy, right? When we bring those two things together, whether you're buying in a buyer's market or you're selling in a buyer's market or you're buying in a seller's market, it doesn't really matter. What matters is you know what type of market you're in and that you have a strategy that works for that market. So let's get into all that in this quick video. And while you're here, if you like videos like this, take a second and hit the like button. It really does help the channel out and spreads the video out to more people. So it's a nice way for you to say thank you for making this content. And if you do like information on the Brantford real estate market, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get my future videos on your home screen as soon as they're published. And I'm committed in 2025 to make way more of these videos with way more detailed insight into the real estate marketplace. So let's just start off by talking about some definitions, right? We always hear the terms, oh, the real estate market's hot, or this part of the market is cold, or this is a buyer's market, or this is a seller's market. Well, what does all that really mean? There's one thing that I like to think about all the time is that there aren't really good or bad real estate markets because you've got people on both sides of the transaction. So if the real estate market is really good for the home seller, that means it's probably challenging for the home buyer. And if it's really good for the home buyer, that means it's probably challenging for the home seller. So instead of thinking of markets as good or bad, we want to think about who has the power or who has the advantage and who's at the disadvantage. And knowing that really helps you set the stage for what type of conditions you're going to experience and what kind of tactics are going to let you win. So let's talk first about a hot market. When we say a real estate market is hot, we're generally calling that a seller's market. So a hot market is one that feels good and exciting for home sellers, right? We see high demand, low supply. So that means lots of buyers that want to buy homes, but not as many people putting their homes up for sale. This results in homes selling quickly, homes getting multiple offers on them, buyers removing their conditions so they can win in those multiple offer scenarios. And of course, all that comes together to push prices up faster than they would naturally. Now, on the other side of that spectrum, we have a cold market, also known as a buyer's market. And again, let's not get these things confused because if you're a buyer, a cold market is actually really great for you. That's what you want. So we just got to keep these terms straight. But in a cold buyer's market, the buyers really have the advantage. There's less demand, there's less people buying, but there's lots of people selling. This means that the homes, they sit on the market longer, they have higher days on market before they sell. We see people reduce their price and change their asking price if they're not successful in getting an offer. We see that the buyers have significantly more negotiating power. They can take their time, get a discount on the property, include conditions. And generally, what it means is as a buyer, you're going to have more choice. As a seller, it means that you have lots more competition in terms of the other people selling their homes. So, and it's important to understand that the gradient from buyer's market over to seller's market, it goes from extreme on either end to balance in the middle. So we can have a slight buyer's market, we can have an extreme buyer's market. We can have a balanced market where everything feels kind of equal for everybody, or we can have an extreme seller's market like we saw in 2021 where almost every home was selling in multiple bids. So that's the lay of the land for us to understand what's going on. And the number one statistic we use to tell whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, is something called the month's supply of homes. And quite simply, this just relates those two variables together. So it takes the inventory, that's the current supply, and divides it by the demand, the number of homes that just sold in the last 30-day period. And that tells us how much bigger the inventory is than the demand. And that number right there tells us what kind of market we're in. Okay, thanks for sticking with me through the definitions. Now that we're all talking the same language, let's get into the details. The first way I wanted to look at this was specifically detached residential homes. This is the bread and butter of Brantford. It's about 80% of all of the properties in Brantford are single family detached homes, although this is quickly changing as Brantford moves to more and more dense developments of townhomes, stacked townhomes, and multi level condo buildings. But again, most people are coming to Brantford because they want more space. They want a bigger house for the same amount of money. That's our biggest draw. So let's look at this market. What we see right now is that homes priced under $600,000 is an extreme seller's market. With just 1.4 months supply of homes, it means the homes are turning over almost as quickly as new homes are coming on the market. So buyers are pretty much snapping up everything under $600,000. We expect these homes to be selling quickly and for prices to be rising. And quite simply, this is the most affordable price segment for people who want to get into a detached home, right? The next segment from there, going to 600 to 800, still very good conditions at 2.3 months supply. It's not quite as hot as under 600,000, but still very strong conditions. And sellers who are selling at this price point should expect their home to be sold pretty quickly. Now, here's where things start to shift. As we move up to the $800 to $900,000 price range, the conditions start to balance out. We move to 2.7 months supply, and just anecdotally, watching the market, you can really see that the energy starts to slow down at this price point. And you can see it completely fall off a cliff as we just move up one more price tranche up to 900 to a million. We've got 14 active listings and only one sale over the last 30 days. This segment is ice cold. If we look up a little higher to 1 million to 1.25 million, even colder, right? Another just single sale in the last 30 days with 20 active properties. Now, I will say that the December demand is the lowest month of the year, but we also have low inventory right now. So these numbers are valid and we're going to keep watching them move into the future. It might make real sense to you why the higher price points are slower. But let me just break it down. Basically, Brantford is a blue collar working class town, and the bread and butter price point, the homes that the average person in Brantford can afford, really do sit around that kind of maximum $800,000 and really moving down the price point. So the more affordable, the hotter the market's going to be because more people can afford those homes who actually live here. As we move up the price points, you're into a new category where, the average, two-person income family in Brantford is not going to get pre-approved for $1 million mortgage. So you're either bringing equity from a previous purchase up into those homes, or you're bringing money from a more expensive city into Brantford and you're buying one of those homes. And so that's why we're seeing that those price ranges are a lot slower because that activity of people coming from the west side of the GTA and calling Brantford home because it's more affordable has slowed down a lot in the last 2 years. Now, we do expect that trend to reverse and get back to where it was. But right now, just know that these higher end properties are taking a lot more effort to move. If you're a buyer with $1 million coming to Brantford, you've got all the power in the world and all the choice in the world. Okay, let's move on to the next segment. We're still looking at detached homes, but instead I want to look at the different style of homes, right? So as we look again, the one-story living bungalows, raised bungalows are the dominant sellers market. They're the hot segment of the market. When you see that across all price points, all neighborhoods, bungalows coming in at 2 months supply, that is a seller's market. Raised bungalows coming in at only 1.4 months supply. So these are the two most desirable property types, and they haven't built a lot more of them in the last 30 years. These were actually much more common property types when lots were bigger and neighborhoods were more spread out. As we move into the newer subdivisions, you're seeing, two and even three-story homes being the norm. And that's, we can see that as we look into the two-story properties, a big shift at 3.6%, or sorry, 3.6 months supply, which is, 65 two-story homes on the market and only 18 of them selling. So you can see that's a lot slower than the bungalow part of the market. One thing to consider when you're buying into this market. And why is that? Well, a lot of the bungalow type floor plans appeal to a much wider range of people. The average, person likes a bungalow floor plan just because of its layout, but most people who are considering downsizing, if they've had a bigger home, are looking for that one floor living. So you've got multiple groups of people who all find this type of floor plan very desirable. Whereas the two-story floor plans, they tend to attract families, people that don't mind walking up and down a full flight of stairs. And they also tend to be more expensive homes in these newer subdivisions. So all that comes together to make it more of a buyer's market. The next segment we want to look at in Brantford is townhomes. Townhomes weren't that big of a market segment in Brantford 10, 15 years ago, but with all the new development pushing towards density, we're seeing more and more townhomes being the dominant product being built by builders. When we look at what's going on in the market, it's kind of interesting. If you see here on the chart, townhomes that are under $600,000 are actually in a buyer's market. But when we move up a price bracket to $600,000 and $700,000, it's actually a seller's market. So what's going on here? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why are the more expensive townhomes more desirable? Well, they tend to be the larger, newer townhomes that are built in the newer subdivisions where the more affordable ones, the lower price townhomes, tend to be in older neighborhoods, less desirable areas. They're definitely older buildings, and they typically have condo fees associated with them. That makes them less desirable for the average first time home buyer because condo fees chew right into your mortgage affordability. So we're seeing in Brantford that the bread and butter is actually the six to $700,000 price range for a townhome, and townhomes over $700,000 are very rare to sell, and we haven't quite hit that price point yet here at Brantford. Now, when we look at the difference between condos and freeholds, so a condo townhome is a townhome arrangement where, for whatever reason, when they built it, they're not just like townhomes sitting out on a main street. They had to create a little condominium structure, whether that's a private road, some visitor parking, maybe there's some garbage or exterior maintenance. Every condo is going to be a little different in what they provide to the owners, but the thing you have to realize is when a townhome is in a condo corporation, that means it comes with condo fees. A condo townhome being a 7.3 month supply versus a freehold townhome being only a 1.9 month supply. Extreme difference in the type of market. So, something to really consider when you're buying a townhome or you're trying to sell it. Know that if you do have a condo fee associated with your townhome, it's going to put you in a much tougher market to sell. And then the last way we can break out townhomes is really looking at the three different styles. Again, we've got bungalow, that's single floor living, the traditional kind of two-story, and the much newer style, high density three-story townhome. And you can see the same trend here again as we saw kind of in the detached homes, where the bungalows, that single floor living, is actually in an extreme, probably the hottest market we have on the entire analysis today. And the reason is this is the primary property type that downsizer is going after. They actually don't mind the condo fees because they're looking to have less maintenance in their overall life. And so you're tending to get this like 1,200 to 1,600 foot bungalow. Maybe it's got a garage, maybe it's got a carport. And it's got a small maintenance fee for this private road or whatever. And that tends to be the most desirable product for people who are downsizing from their family homes. Then you move up into the more traditional two-story townhome market, and it's still moving along really well. It's a more affordable part of the market, and it's a nice entry-level product for a lot of people. And then we've got a problem brewing in these three-story townhomes. So again, Brantford's going through a shift where more density is happening. So builders are cramming more and more units into these developments. And you're starting to see things like three-story townhomes, back-to-back townhomes. Those are townhomes where you don't have any backyard. You're at the back of your house is right against the back of another. And these ones, they were sold to a lot of investors. A lot of them are turned into rental units. But most homeowners are not that excited about these right now in the market because, again, for that amount of money, you can get a detached home. You could get a more spacious two-story condo, or sorry, two-story townhome. We're not having to be squeezed in to these three-story developments. And also remember, most of these three-story townhomes come along with condo fees because they're squeezed into these tight developments. So a lot of things to consider in the condo market. And the last little segment I want to show you today is actually condo towers, right? These are a fairly new style. Of course, there were a few condo towers historically here in Brantford, but they've been coming online a lot quicker lately. Again, as the push for density, the push for growth, especially in areas like the downtown core. The big difference I'm seeing in the condo market is we've got these established older buildings versus all the new stuff that's come online lately. And the established older buildings were really marketed and sold to people who wanted to live in the building, right? And a lot of these newer condo developments were actually built and marketed and sold to investors who were going to keep them and rent them. into the market. And what we've seen is these new style buildings, they're very hard to sell right now because, again, their condo fees are high. They were bought at a premium price in the hot market. And now the real buyer for it is another investor. It's not, a homeowner isn't too excited about paying 450, $550,000 to live in this tiny, small condo, right? Where it might not even be totally finished. The amenities might not be open yet. And so because the investor dollars are not back in the market yet, people trying to exit these units, people that bought them as an investment or thought they were going to be able to turn them over quickly, are finding out that there really isn't a buyer pool for them right now. So a lot of these newer buildings have tons of properties for sale in them, meaning, when they're all the same, right? Like every unit is pretty much the same. So if the unit one floor above you is willing to sell their home for 20 or 30 grand less than you, it's obviously going to get the offer, right? So it can be very competitive when a condo building goes into a buyer's market. So keep an eye on that this year. Okay, so that's the recap. If I have to put this all into one slide, the super hot segments in the market right now. Number one, detached homes across the city under $800,000. That's where you're going to see action popping off, especially in the first part of this year. One level detached homes, even hotter, right? Bungalows and raised bungalows. So those are going to be the hottest part of the market, especially in the north end of Brantford. And of course, single and two level freehold townhomes. That's a super hot segment of the market. So if you own a home in any one of these segments, you're in for a exciting experience when you try to sell it this year. Now, if you're trying to buy into one of these hot segments, you're going to need a different playbook to make sure that you can get out there, secure that property quickly, and do it before other buyers buy it out from under you. Now let's flip the switch and look at the coldest segments of the market. That is homes over $900,000. And the higher the price point, the colder the market. Now, do we expect that to warm up over the year? For sure. But it takes some time. Energy builds from the lower point of the lower part of the market up into the higher price points. So basically what we're seeing right now is that energy, definitely below 600 is crazy. Up to 800 is still pretty good. It starts to peter off above 800 into 900 and higher. So we should see month after month as the market improves this year, the energy return to those price points, but it will take a little bit of time to clear out all those excess homes that are up for sale. Ice cold part of the market number two is condos and three-level townhomes. So those are condo townhomes and three-level townhomes. Again, the condo fees, they are chewing into buyer affordability, and these three-level towns were mostly bought at premium prices, and now people are having trouble exiting them, and buyers can buy something a little nicer. They don't want to be squeezed into these little high-density three-story townhomes right now. And the last segment of the market that is ice cold right now is the newer condo buildings. Again, these were built for investors, and the current set of owners are trying to sell them to other investors, but those investor dollars just aren't buying up the units right now. So we got to wait and see that whole market segment reset. I'm glad you stuck around with this video. I hope you found this useful. The most important thing to look at is where do you sit, right? As a seller, what part of the market are you in? As a buyer, what part of the market are you in? And then we use that data to make your strategic decisions, and that's how we win. Okay, thanks for joining me today. We're going to be back next week with the regular update with all the average price points, neighborhoods, all that great stuff. And I'm going to keep bringing you this hot or not data monthly as it changes. As always, if you have any questions about the real estate market, my information is all available right in the listing description below. We can get you information on your house, information on some of the best deals that I think are out there on the market right now, or we can just have a quick phone call about your goals and needs and get you on the right path. We'll see you in the next video.